everybody. Okay, today I am going to give you an update on what's going on energetically. As you know, in the July energy update, we talked a lot about nature being a very significant part of this change up with our roles. But we also talked about how this is the time of, or the theme for July was integration, but it's also continuing through August. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and some information that will help you maybe understand some of the things you're going through. And then we're going to get to our main topic today. So for those of you who are new to my videos, I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channeled messages from the light keepers for your awakening and ascension and life journey. Also, if you want more free content, check out the link below. It'll take you to a free video on flow, how to create that in your body for health and wellness during this journey. But it will also help you get on my email list, and that gives you free content every Friday for the week coming up. I give you a channel message from the light keepers to support you in the journey. I also have Facebook, where I put all of the poems and messages that are brought through to me over the years from the light keepers. It's under Purple Rain Healing. You can check that out as well. Okay, so what we're going to do today, I'm going to get on the current energy and where we are so you can understand a little bit more about what July and August are going to be like. And of course, we have Lionsgate coming up in August, which is so interesting. I forgot that Lionsgate was coming up, and I kept getting this energy of like something occurring in August, like for us energetically. And that's what it is. So anyway, but what's happening now is we're in the summer or winter for some of you in the Southern Hemisphere. Winter or summer, we're in the months of integration, okay? We are integrating all these energies that have come in for the first 6 months, but also in the solstice. And what they showed me the other day, because I do have conversation with them regularly, and they end up giving me information for future videos. But what they showed me the other day was like this corkscrew. And they're like, this is what's happening right now. This is what's happening right now. The energies are blending. And then they flipped it and they showed a blender, okay? Like in your kitchen, a blender. And it's like when you put so much in a blender and you've stuffed it so full, potentially, that you better hold the lid on, because guess what? It's blending around and it's clunk, 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 clunk. It's blending around in there. This is what's happening with us right now, okay? And you got to kind of hold the lid on. We're going to feel this clunking around of that initial blending, and that's what we're doing. So think of the blender, if you're going through some, which I think most of us are, like every day's kind of different. And it can be rather extreme, I will say as well, either with your nervous system. If you feel a little on edge, you feel emotional, you're really blending in these energies into your body, into your system, into your human. But what's also happening during this time is it's blending things and also spitting out, the lid comes off, spitting out things that don't serve you, right? So it's a very intense time. Now, we go through cycles in this journey of awakening and ascension. But this is one where, and we go through integration cycles, right? But this is one where, they just said it feels lumpy, bumpy. It does. It does. And so if you are wondering why every day feels different, or you're having things show up that it's like, oh my gosh, I just thought I had that done, and now here I am again, and kind of feeling exhausted with having to do this again, or just this idea of blending. If you think about it, just use the blender metaphor. You know, when you're, making a smoothie and you're throwing all the fruit in and half of it's frozen, and you put the lid on and you go to blend and it's like, everything clunks around in there. That's how you're going to likely feel to one degree or another, because we're all different in our journey, during these next couple months. And then we're going to get the energy of Lionsgate coming in August. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, I just want you to know, think of the blender, okay? Every day can be different. You're blending in energies that you have not experienced before. And we've had, again, per a couple monthly videos ago on the energy update, the solar flares and the things happening with the sun are so powerful and impactful to us. Again, it's all about ascension, but again, it affects us bodily. Forget the fact that we have all our own stuff we're dealing with too, right? And our growth. The sun, the cosmos, all of that is affecting us, and we are blending those energies, okay? So think of the blender as you're moving through your journey this next month or two. And then we'll get to more of what's going to be happening in August when that time comes. So I just wanted to give you that because that came in the other day. I don't know. I think I was out mowing the lawn. That usually comes in when, I'm in some kind of more meditative state. So, and I can tell you that my individual journey has been very much that. When they brought the blender in, I went, oh, wow, this makes so much sense. And the other thing that is coming through is nervous system. So it's interesting in this journey. We become stronger spiritually, but we also, honestly, I'll just say they just keep saying fragile, delicate, but in a strong way. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. Our body is making massive adjustments. Our nervous system is making massive adjustments. We have energies all around us. There's all kinds of things that that are causing us to shift and change and adjust to. So if you're feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling off center, if you're feeling, I'll just say out of body, and I could go on and on, this is natural, okay? And I think one of the biggest things to know, particularly for these next couple of weeks, is as you're feeling that, you can't ignore it, okay? I know we're busy people, but this is part of our problem. We're busy people, right? We're really not living in the way we are meant to live. So what I would say to you is lean into something that comforts you. Like, keep doing your self-care. This is so critical. Remember, it's the foundation of everything we do. Do one thing this week. Let's just talk about this next week. Pick one thing that's going to comfort you, that will make you feel good. And obviously something hopefully healthy, but that will make you feel good, that will give you comfort, that will assist you in just doing something for yourself and feeling good. Because so often we don't, right? We get going in our days, our families, our friends, all of that. Center in yourself and do something for yourself, because these energies are super strong and you're blending. All right? So enough of that. I hope you're doing well. And again, like I said, we'll get more information on that as time goes on. Okay, so today what I want to talk about, and I don't want to spend too much time on this and make it too complex, but I just really want to talk about the self-awareness journey in the year of creative expansion. Okay, so we've talked about how the year of creative expansion is 2023 that I've had brought through, and I've talked about this a lot in my previous videos. But as we know, the spiritual journey, and this doesn't sound sexy, but it's all about self-awareness, ultimately. I mean, all the wonderful spiritual magical things, yes, but it's about self-awareness, ultimately. It is about self-awareness and then being able to see that and make the adjustments, shifts, and changes. Because as we go through the awakening journey and really wake up, we can't not see, okay? We cannot see where things that we do don't serve us, or the things that do serve us, and making those shifts and changes, understanding who we are, how we get activated, and how we react, and where our judgments are, all of that. This is a journey of self-awareness. However, within that journey of self-awareness, this is not this smooth path of self-awareness. We have the ego, and I want to talk about the ego today, because so much of what we deal with in this awakening journey is about our egoic self. Now, when we talk about the ego, most of the time in society, we think of big egos, right? Egos that overinflate us, that, and we see it all around us, right? I mean, we see it all around us. We're more special than we can ever imagine. We are always right. We are always know it all. We are the ones that nothing can go wrong for. We are the ones that know everything, and we shut out everyone else, and we just drive through, and it's all egoic. Okay, we know that. We understand that. But I guess what I would say to you is, do you understand that within yourself? We see it in society all the time. We see the big egos, all right? But do you understand that within yourself? So that side of this they just said be our undoing, okay? Absolutely. And I think we understand that a lot more than what I'll call the other side of ego. And essentially what I've been told is we run the gauntlet of ego through our journey to self-awareness. So think about that as you're going through this journey. We run the gauntlet of ego on both sides during this self-awareness journey, which is our spiritual journey, all right? So what happens is, and this is how they showed it to me, is running the gauntlet. On the left side is the inflated, big ego. I'm important. I'm better than everybody. Judgment of others. And we all have this. I'm going to tell you, to one degree or another, This is part of the self-awareness journey. Where do we have that? Okay. But anyway, the overinflated egos that we see out there are extreme examples of that, but we all have it. But what we don't realize, and I think we so often in the spiritual journey talk about, you are important, you do matter, you are gifted, remember who you are. Like, almost like what feels like trying to create an overinflated ego, but that's not it. That's not it. When we go through the spiritual journey, the spiritual awakening ascension journey, what starts to happen is we have a whole new world open up, and we're like, I'm not worthy. I don't understand what's happening to me. I'm not gifted. I don't have intuitive gifts. Everybody's better than me. This isn't for me. Oh, who am I? Do I deserve? Okay, so ego is that too. It's the other side of the gauntlet, all right? Like I said, we kind of understand this societally, the big ego. On the other side is the diminished view of ourselves. That is ego too, because what ego does is it can also try to keep us safe and in our place, and like, nope, we're not going anywhere. We're not changing, because ego doesn't like change, right? Ego doesn't like change. On the overinflated ego side, to one degree or another, it's telling you you're amazing, you always will be, and no one else is better than you. It doesn't want that to change, right? Over here on this side, it's telling you, no, you can't do this. Are you kidding me? No, that's too scary. We're not going to change. We're not going to change. We're not going to change. We can't look at ourselves, okay? We can't look at the things that need shifted and changed. We need to stay safe. So what it does is it squashes us. So no wonder, and I got thinking about this when I knew this was going to be my topic, no wonder in this spiritual awakening journey, we talk so much about, no, build yourself up, because guess what? The ego can make us very small, particularly in areas that we are new to. And most all of us in this lifetime are brand new to this spiritual awakening journey, because this is the first time that we are doing this as a collective in mass across the world. So we're in this place of like, oh God, I got thrown into this awakening journey and I don't know anything. And talk about breaking down a big old ego real fast, right? And that's where the fight comes, right? Running that gauntlet. But what I really want you to know is that that's the ego too, keeping you small, keeping you from living fully in your self-awareness and really understanding who you are, and really grasping on to the things that can help you grow. Because we all are here to be able to find our spiritual selves, find that self-awareness, understand. And also, we do have all those gifts, all right? And the ego will tell you, who are you to think that you could have? That was my problem. I guess I'll just say that's where my diminished sense of self with the ego in the spiritual journey came in of, well, this is all for somebody else. My entire life, until I woke up, obviously I didn't have a psychic bone in my body. I didn't know any of this stuff. I barely knew what a tarot card was, and I am not kidding you. I just lived a human life. Well, I would, on occasion, hear about, psychics and all that, and I'd think, oh, that's interesting, but that's for other people. I don't have that. I don't have any of that, those intuitive gifts, that sixth sense. That's the ego, okay? And as we go through the spiritual journey, all of a sudden you're thrown in this world, because you all have to admit, we get signs and messages, and that's different than before we woke up. We get signs and messages, our intuitive gifts start to open up over time in the way they're meant to for us. But then the ego comes in and goes, bam, no. Bam, no, that's too scary, because it's changing, it's shifting. You're going to have to be self-aware. You have to learn about yourself. We don't want to do this. We're going to keep you safe, and we're just going to stay the way we are. Whether you're in this big ego state or you got this diminished view of yourself. And I will tell you right now that I do believe most of us go through this journey as we go through awakening of, oh, I haven't tread this water before. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to swim this. And oh my gosh, I'm probably going to drown because I don't know how to swim in this kind of water or this current. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything about this, or I know very little about this. Because even if you're psychically aware and yet you're not awake, and you go through your awakening journey, it's a whole shift and change. It doesn't matter if you have your intuitive gifts intact. It's a whole different journey, right? Yeah, you may have your intuitive gifts intact, because being psychic and being awake is not the same thing. It's just not. And so when we wake up, we still have that part of us that's like, oh my gosh, who am I to know that I am, right? So I want you to really think about this, that on both sides of you, you have your ego self in the journey to self-awareness. Because, again, like I said, it doesn't sound sexy, but this spiritual journey is about self-awareness. Because if you do not have self-awareness in this journey, if you do not understand who you are, and again, that's what we do. We're traveling this journey to understand who we are, what we desire, what serves us, how we come from the space of love in our hearts for others, but first of all for ourselves. It's this whole it's the spiritual awakening journey, right? But the gauntlet has ego on either side of it. The inflated ego, which I'm going to tell you right now, every one of us has something, okay? Most of us don't have the, humongous egos that we see out there in the world, right? And we know what happens. You fly too high to the sun kind of thing. We always watch the crash in some way. There's always usually something. Anyway, but we all have some part of that where we're overinflated, okay? Whether it's, okay, let's use an example. I'm going to make this up, but it could be applicable. So I garden. I have big gardens. I love my gardens. That's a big thing for me. Well, I could easily walk by everybody else's garden, which occasionally I do, and I'll say, they could do this, they could do that, they could do this. And so here I am in my head providing solutions for their yard, right? So in a way, that's like an overinflatedness about the specialty of me and my gardening. Well, I went to a garden show this weekend, right? And there were like 30, 40 gardens that were available to the public to view. And I went in being very self-aware of my fallibilities. Is that a word? And I went in and I went, no, I'm going to learn from these people. I'm going to learn. There's such a difference, right? So if we can take the things that we feel we look at and we're overinflated about, what can you actually learn from the flip side of that? So what I did, I went to these gardens, and instead of going, gosh, not that I do this all the time, but I'll admit, I did. It's like, I'm not sure I would have done that. I don't know if I would have. Instead, look at I love this. What would I do? That kind of thing. So again, example, an overinflated ego, really simple example like gardening, and needless to say, we all have something. Okay, we all have something. So check yourself at the door with respect to that. Know that in your journey to self-awareness, which that's a part of my little example I just gave, which we have multiple examples, you're running the gauntlet of ego. And on the other side, though, is the side that makes you feel small. Both of these make you feel small. Or not feel small. Both of these make you small. And they don't allow for expansiveness, all right? So if you're hanging out over here in big O ego land, I'm special ego land, what is that? That's just all about you. It's tightness. You're in this little box, this tight little box. Well, what's happening over here? When all you're feeling small, again, they're both small. You don't have this expansive view. You can't have an expansive view when the ego takes you and does this, okay? Whether you're in this massive ego state of self-importance, or you're in this very tiny state of diminished view of yourself, it's all small. Because you can't expand, okay? You can't expand. And the ego doesn't want you to expand. Keeps you safe, keeps you in place, keeps you, I'll just say, I don't want to say powerful, but in the ego way. And so what you're doing in this journey is I really want you to be aware of this diminished view of ourselves, because we're taught about the big ego. But the ego will also keep you small in the sense of feeling like you're insignificant, you don't matter, and that you're not gifted, all of those things I just mentioned. But here's the thing. We are meant to break out of that, go through this journey of self-awareness, look at the ego on both sides, learn from it, and then break that part down. The ego will always be here with us, okay? It's about self-awareness. I know I've said this 10,000 times, but I want you to think of the gauntlet, all right? And I want you to be very self-aware with respect to what I'll just call the diminished view of yourself or the overinflated view of yourself. Now remember, it's all degrees. Maybe something little, but I really want you to be kind of like the scientist in this and look at where you can focus on. It feels so good when you start recognizing these things and working on them. It's freedom. You're out of these small boxes, and then you're moving through that gauntlet, which it still will always be a gauntlet, in a way that you more easily understand when we start looking at these things. So again, as we look to the year 2023 of creative expansion, we can't be small. And the ego will try to keep us small as we run that gauntlet. So in order to be expansive, we've got to come out of these small boxes, these ways of thinking that the ego will keep us in, okay? And within that comes fear and all those other things, right? Fear is on this side and fear is on this side. So my point in this is put all of these pieces together and understand that through this journey that we go through, like I said, it doesn't sound too exciting, but a journey of self-awareness which is this entire spiritual journey, so that we can then make the proper choices through love, through our heart space for ourselves, and then offer to others and create from that. We have to get out of these boxes. We have to get out of what the ego does to us. So really start looking at some examples that you can use. Like mine was so simple this weekend. It was like the garden show. I mean, because I like my gardens and I think I've done a good job, but it's my own way of doing it, right? You can create gardens any way you want. There's not one way, right? So I don't need an overinflated ego about how wonderful my garden is, and I don't have that. But I do have this thing of like, I could have gone into those beautiful gardens and gone, oh, wow, okay, that's not my style. Ooh, I don't know. I don't think I would have done that, like I said. But instead, which is more my nature, I went in and instead of being kind of the critic in that sense, I went in and said, oh, wow, look, this is so neat. This is this person's way of expressing their creativity. And isn't it wonderful? We're all different. And look what I can take away. So those kinds of things, all right, in my example, what I'll call my little example of overinflated ego, potentially, those are really good ways to start in understanding this. And then where is it that you're feeling so small that you think you're in a box and you can't move forward into becoming that expansive person, knowing that I am, okay? So I think that's pretty much what I want to cover today. I really wanted to touch on this because this is the journey to self-awareness, but you got the gauntlet you're running, and it's how you deal with that comes your way, all right? It's how you deal with the ego presented in all its forms, okay, to show you the way forward. So ultimately, if you look at it like this, oh God, that's really funny. They just said, you just make the ego your best friend because it's going to offer you the most lessons and learning for your spiritual journey forward. Because I guess if you don't have that, if you don't have those things to learn from, where are they going to come from, right? So a lot of that has to do with that persona we've created and the beliefs, the systems, the perspectives that we've created for ourselves, and how much of that's coming from ego. Okay, and what has that done to who we've created as Carolyn, for example? And how do we get to that purest self, running that gauntlet of ego to the journey of self-awareness? So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you take, like I always say, one little nugget away for your own journey, because this is really about pulling together puzzle pieces from places you go, things you hear, opportunities you take advantage of, and creating your own puzzle, right? Putting the puzzle pieces together. So take what resonates, toss the rest aside, as I always say. If you want to work with me, check out purplerainhealing.com, where I list all of my services of one-on-one mentoring, where I help you through this journey. We take your specific journey, past, present, future. We talk about it. We also talk about your past lives, which are a key component to what I help you work on, in addition to how they apply to your current journey and your future, and really unpack the things that you're going through in your day-to-day life, your spiritual awakening journey, and assisting you forward with channeled information, practical advice, and ideas for your way forward. I also offer distance energy healing and individual channeled sessions. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're doing okay in your own blender, and that you're managing these energies, because they're going to keep continuing. We keep launching up, but again, it's a year of creative expansion, and the way it has to happen is through this blending. All right, so take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.